everybody, welcome to the Big Blue Report. My name is Randy Zellea with BackSportsPage.com. That guy over there is the Professor Ryan Darlington. And conspicuous by his absence, Jonathan Casillas, the former two-time Super Bowl champion and defensive captain. We just wanted to come on here real quick to give you guys a quick message, give a quick prediction of the game. We are sort of flustered a little this week with as far as getting a show out there. Just scheduling didn't work out, but we didn't want to come out here and give you nothing. We wanted to come out here and give you something. And so the professor and I are hopping on real quick to give you guys a little quick taste of everything that's going on this week with the New York Football Giants. And we will be back at full strength next week with JC, Ryan, and myself. Ryan, what's up, my friend?
A little bit of all of this is better than none of it. So, happy to be here with you. Happy to talk a little bit of Giants football, as challenging as it may be to be a fan right now. That last one was a little hard to watch.
You know what it is too, and I was there in person, and I was taking a look at it, and man, they always say maybe the first couple games of the season can set a tone for you. We had spoken in the past a few years ago when Carson Wentz was still in Philadelphia, and how they started the season like 3-1 or 4-1 or 4-2, and they ended up finishing with like 4 or 5 wins total for the season. Mm-hmm. Last year, the Giants started off 3-1 in their first quarter of the season, and it did set the tone. Yeah. Again, if context is king, sometimes when you start saying, well, why isn't it the same way it was last season? Well, you can dissect it a little bit and say, hey, Tennessee was a good team, but then you look at the next 2 games below 500 with Chicago and Carolina, but you play the games that are on your schedule.
Sure. And this goes beyond just year by year by year, right? I mean, Daboll's been saying it until he's blue in the face, right? Every year is different. This league can humble you, so on and so forth. But we've seen it year after year after year that, even in that first quarter of the games that you're going to be having, the first 4 games of the season, what you do in those 4 games does have an effect on what happens to your team throughout the rest of the season. We saw it last year. I think we're going to be seeing it this year, unless there's something miraculous that happens that kind of pulls everybody together. It's looking like it's going to be a little bit rough. I mean, in 3 primetime games, we've been outscored 94-15 at home. There have been 2 games at home, 64-3.
Yeah,
we've scored 3 points at home. I mean,
and not only that, but we're the only team in the NFL who hasn't scored a touchdown in the first half. And we can keep going with the stats. So that's it's 70. It was 70. I think I told you it was 77-9 in the first half. It's ridiculous. But the other thing too that I noticed in the first half or during the game the other night, I have been a little bit of a Daniel defender throughout this whole entire rough start. I can't defend some of those decisions he made. Right. But then again, I don't know how many decisions you'd be able to defend when you're getting sacked 10 times.
So it's not one thing, right? It's all of the things. It's a lot of different things. And hey, look, he did. He came back from his trip with the fence.
We said you were we said you were in a secret mission to the Bahamas. Now you're making a liar out of us. We were like, Jonathan Casillas is on a special mission this week. He's in Bermuda. So that's what we. That's how we hyped it.
Can y'all hear me good? Do I sound a little echoey?
Oh, no, you sound perfect, my friend.
Okay, good. I got a different setup. I was telling Ryan I ordered like this big old
the
monitor. I got the camera on top. The monitor is so big, though.
Yeah.
We're all going for different camera views right now too, which is pretty good.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah, look at that.
Jeez.
Look at that.
Look at that handsome devil.
Look at that handsome. We're right now. We're taking our viewers inside the studio of JC right now.
There you go.
So
I just got it like an hour ago, so I'm trying to figure it out. Had to set the Logitech camera up, and that's why it's like a weird angle. I'm gonna get it figured out, but today we just got to do what we got to do.
We're doing it.
Yeah, we're rocking and rolling right now. We are live and talking Giants football. JC, we were just talking about under the first half of the season so far. In the first half of the games, the Giants have only scored a total of 9 points in the first half of all their games combined. And 77-9 is the breakdown. And Ryan, would you like to throw the other stats at JC? Just catch them up real quick.
Oh, well, so I don't know that you want them, quite frankly. But, in the 3 primetime games, we've been outscored 94-15. at home, outscored 63-3 at home. And there's just so many things. We could run down the list of stats all day long, but the numbers tell you a few things about it. And what we were just getting into is that we've been talking about Daniel. Now, at times during this season and last season, Randy and I have both been kind of Daniel Jones apologists in a way.
I spent all last season dumping on him, and in the first few games of this year, I'm being like it's really not his fault, but
right.
But the mistakes he made this week, I'm sorry, I can't defend him. I can't. That interception, no.
Yeah, no. So it all goes together. I guess that's the point that I'm trying to make. It's not just that it's a bad offensive line and they're playing really badly. It's because there's a bad offensive line, because the scheme isn't quite right, because we can't wait for things to open up. That does affect Daniel's play. But there are certain things that Daniel needs to be doing that he's not doing, making good decisions with the football, being on target with the throws that he makes. He's been off target. I'm seeing a lot more first, second, third year Daniel Jones than I did last year. Last year, he was precise. He was on point. He was making the throws, and it brought everybody up. Now he's missing those throws that he has made in the past. And I think I'll shut up in a minute here, but I think that's a theme that we're seeing across the board. Last year, we played above our talent level, right? We got to where we were because we were playing above our talent level. This year, for some reason, somehow, and I have a theory on why, we are playing well below our talent level. We have guys that are good players in this league, but every one of them, for some reason, for whatever reason, it's just not happening, and they're playing like they're on the JV squad.
Yeah, and you know what? And I put the coaches in the same category. I don't think they're coaching as well as they coached last year as well. Kafka, Wing, and Daboll all included, and T-Mac, the special teams coach. I think it's a combination. I think it's a combination, guys. You're looking at a whole roster, possibly more talented than last year's roster, possibly. I think the offensive line is the biggest question mark in terms of the upgrading in every position, especially with Andrew Thomas being out. John Michael Schmitz is now out. Ben Bredesen coming off that concussion. There's a lot of question marks in terms of the health. And, the Giants got kind of ravaged early, losing their two best players on offense, basically in the first couple of weeks of the season. And now you see them reeling. And before the injuries happened, they weren't as good as we thought they were to begin with as well. So now you have all of these things culminating. I think Daniel Jones is not passing the ball as accurately as he has in the past, especially last year. His ball placement is a little off. I think that's a combination of offensive line not really giving him that time, so he's feeling a little bit rushed or giddy. And then also a lot of new receivers, right? When you have new receivers and you're not really going through live reps, yes, you have training camp, yes, you have 7-on-7, but I mean, we can't call this what they're doing now really training camp. It's like an extended OTAs. There's like no contact. I was at several practices. I never heard a hit. I never heard a sound of a pop. And when you go to training camp back in the day, there was always hitting, there was always popping, there was always fights. Wasn't even nothing close to that this year. So I think the first 4 games of this year was basically an extended preseason. Not just for the Giants, but for a lot of teams throughout the league. They're trying to do all this player protection, and they put the little, funny looking space helmets, the padded space helmets on these guys. But I think they're taking away from the players actually preparing themselves mentally and physically for the long marathon of the season. And now the Giants have some injuries. The Giants already are kind of, they stubbed their toe. So now they're limping into the second quarter of the season, and it's not looking good. I'll tell you what, the Giants, I think the defense did some soul searching from week 3, that San Francisco 49ers game where they missed 16 tackles and just looked horrible. Going into, last week's game against Seattle, I feel like they responded. The one play with Fant had that 51-yard reception. Guys, those plays happen. These guys in the NFL get paid just like the Giants players get paid, right? And that one play, that'll happen once, twice a game. But what we saw from San Fran, that happened like 10 times.
Yeah.
And I think it took a step forward. And, I'm going to be honest, I spoke with Nacho Nunez Roaches. I spoke to him in the cafeteria, and I was like, bro, I'm going to be honest with you, bro. And I talked about that 2016 year, and people were thinking that, Eli Manning was still Eli Manning in 2016. Eli Manning wasn't that good in 2016. He was on his last couple years of the decline to basically was like, all right, you're too old, bro. You know what I mean? But that was one of the last years I felt like Eli could not hold on to the ball, whether he was throwing interceptions.
Yep.
Every time he got sacked, I felt like he lost the ball. But defensively, we took it upon ourselves to not get down, to not be like, oh, man, here we go again. I feel like the offense is kind of in that rut and that kind of, ongoing, hamster wheel of, oh, man, here we go again. Defensively, I think they got out of that. But not only do you got to get out of that, you got to put something else into that. You got to go ahead and say, all right, guys, we got to create a turnover. Zero turnovers in 4 games. Zero turnovers.
How many sacks? 4?
Yeah, 4
5?
sacks.
4 sacks.
And the thing is, people are saying the defense played well enough to win the game. No, they didn't, because they lost. And look, the other defense, Seattle, 11 sacks, 3 takeaways. How are you going to compare the Giants defense to that performance? They play well enough to win the game.
Yeah.
And I'm asking a lot from this defense because they need to play at a higher level because their offense is just not where it's supposed to be at, and it might not be there for a while. So who are you going to put it on? You can't put it on special teams.
Right.
It's definitely not the offense. It has to be on the defense. They have to create turnovers. Like if they are not creating turnovers, they can't say they did a good job. I'm sorry, because the offense is not where it's supposed to be at, to where you can survive these games without creating turnovers. The number one predictor of wins and losses in the NFL, and this hasn't changed, is the turnover and takeaway margin. That's the number one predictor.
And we're -8. -8.
I thought T-Mac was going to be fired right after the game. I'm not going to lie to you, because that was a pitiful showing from the special teams, and the amount of flag penalties, not just on the Giants but on Seattle as well. There was one point it felt like every other play there was a flag.
So, and the thing is, Seattle was almost trying to give the Giants the game.
Yeah.
Seattle wasn't that good.
No.
Gino, I love Gino. Gino wasn't that good. They didn't run the ball that efficiently. They were terrible on third down. They were 3 of 12. And they have, bro, one drive, they had 4 penalties in a row.
Yep.
4 penalties in a row. And the Giants just could not capitalize on the mistakes of Seattle. And I'm putting that on the defense. I'm putting that on the best player in Dexter Lawrence. I don't care if you're disruptive. You need to be dominant. Same with Xavier McKinney. Get your hands on the pass, bro. Get some big hits out there. Knock that ball out. They need to play beyond themselves, because I think they're capable of doing it.
They are.
And not only that, the one thing, and I saw it, and I meant to screenshot it and send it to you guys. I apologize, but there was a picture saying that the offensive starting line, the front line for the Seahawks was, a lot of them were backups.
Yeah, most of them. They lost both of their tackles. One of their guards was lost in the game. I mean, they had a patchwork offensive line as well. And against our supposed strength of our team, defensive front line, it made them look like they were all pros.
I will tell you, the one thing that made me smile on Monday night at the game, it made me smile, it made me laugh, is I got to see JC, and I got to see him in his Giant sweater. I was like, when I saw him, I was all smiles, and I saw the Giants when I was like, man, that just made me laugh. That just made me happy. It made me happy.
I tell you what did make me happy about the play.
Sorry.
Azeez Ojulari and Kayvon Thibodeau.
Kayvon showed up.
The first sack that Kayvon had, that was Ojulari's doing. Ojulari had a great move. He got up the field, and as the quarterback, as Gino stepped up, Thibodeau had a great inside move. He beat the tackle, and boom, the sack landed right in his lap. That is because of Ojulari. And look, I give Kayvon Thibodeau his credit because he did get the sack. But without Ojulari, the Giants' pass rush is almost non-existent.
Yep.
And it sucks to say, but that's the truth, guys. The numbers are in the proof is in the pudding, guys. The numbers don't lie, right? I love Ojulari being back. I think he is by far the most productive player whenever he's healthy, probably on the entire team. I was saying that just about the defense, but production per play, and I would have to do research into this, Ojulari might be the top guy on the entire team. But the thing is, how many plays have we seen from him? How many games has Ojulari missed in the last few years? Tremendous kid.
He played 3 games last year. It was 3 to 4 games last year.
Tremendous kid. Such a happy guy. I seen him in the locker room today. Big smile on his face. Just like Saquon Barkley. We love Saquon. Saquon's so productive. He's so powerful. He's so explosive. But Saquon has missed so much time. And it's hurtful to the Giants because, yes, when he's in, he's good. But the thing is, when is he going to be in? Yeah. You know, and people talked about him not getting paid and all that. I understood that he had a little bit of a window. There was some opportunity for him to get that deal. He didn't go for it. Now he's in a terrible situation because he got hurt, and that's the only thing he couldn't do this year was get hurt. Mm-hmm. And now, like, I'm not even talking about this year. I'm talking about his future.
Well,
what is his future in the NFL? And yes, he will play. He's that good. But like, as far as like receiving that bag, I think that shit done sell.
And not only that, but the only thing that hurts him besides sitting out is the team not being successful. And if the team is not being successful while he's on the field, that hurts his value too. Because I made a comment to Ryan during the week this week, JC, and you can let me know if you think that I'm wrong. I looked at the pieces. We keep complimenting the Giants on they bring in Paris Campbell, they got Darren Waller, they got all these different pieces, but that took away from the piece of Daniel that was successful last year. Now he didn't have all those pieces to throw to, so now you're changing the secret sauce of what was working for them. Yes, I understand Saquon Barkley is not in the lineup, and that was a big piece for him of being able to run the ball with Daniel. But when Daniel was running and being able to make things go on the fly, that's what was the secret sauce for success last year. And now you're putting these receivers on the field with him. You're telling him, okay, I know this worked last year, but we're going to expand it out, and we want you to do this instead. And now we're starting to see some interceptions we didn't see last year. Yes, the offensive line is Swiss cheese. We get it. It's a big problem, and Saquon's out right now. But you're still trying to change what the winning recipe was from last year. Am I wrong for saying it? Yeah, correct me if I'm wrong.
Listen, I think this year I think it's a combination of so many different things. I think that's definitely one of the things that we're seeing, but the bottom line is every single person on this roster has to play better.
Yep.
It does start with Daniel Jones. You can't worry about if Saquon's coming back or not. That's our job to worry about that. But it's their job to perform. Whoever's in that backup position, Breida, I love the way Breida runs the football.
Yeah.
Really,
he should have ran more. Why did they go away from a run in the beginning of the game? I don't understand it.
He looks good every single time he touches the ball. He looks good. I like the pass to Brightwell with the the scramble out and a little dump down to Brightwell. Like, they have some talent here besides Saquon. There are guys in the backfield that can do some things for them, right? And then also Waller needs to be a primary target, right? And it looked last week that they were trying to focus around Wan'Dale Robinson. I don't mind that either. Nope. But where did that go in the second quarter? Where did that go in the second half? It looked like he was the feature, and then all of a sudden,
right? And then they get away from it. Yeah, they get away from whatever works.
Did you hear Waller's post-game comments, JC? Where he said that he was hoping to be more involved in the offense. He honestly he felt honestly that there was probably some opportunities where he could have been more of a focus, and I respect that. And you could say that about a couple other different people, but this is now the second game of the season where they started the season off with running the football, and it was successful, and they went away from it. Mm-hmm. And they can't.
They got behind, right? I mean, in all of these games, literally every game that we've played, our opponents have jumped out ahead of us, right? They've jumped out, and we are behind by double digits by the end of the first quarter. So, I mean, it is relatively easy to, kind of pull away from the run in those situations. But, I think this is what goes back to the play calling. It's what goes back to the coaching overall in terms of getting away from the only thing that you've got to try and make something happen, right? If we know that the line is not going to hold up long enough for Waller to get open down the field, right? So maybe it's time for a screen or two. Maybe it's time for a wheel route that we saw last week from either Wandale or from Brightwell or from Breida or wherever the case may be. It's easy to get away from that when you get down so quickly. But you're right, Randy, when it's the only thing that's working to any degree whatsoever, at the very least, you soften up a defense if you keep pounding them with the run. And maybe maybe you're able to get something mid-range if the line can hold up well enough. And not for nothing, if Daniel feels the pressure behind him and rolls out the way he's supposed to.
As a defender, when you know you don't have to worry about the run, it just makes your job so much easier.
Yeah.
And then it makes the defensive coordinator a lot more aggressive. They understand they become very predictable. And that's the thing about the NFL. A lot of these offenses are unpredictable. That's what keeps the defense on their heels. They give you a whole bunch of different looks. They have a whole bunch of targets, a whole bunch of weapons. They do a whole bunch of different things, and they hit you from all different angles. Once you become predictable, it's easy. It's a piece of cake to play against that offense. It's not hard to tackle a run play when you know where it's going, you know when it's happening, and it's not hard to tackle these underneath throws when you know exactly what they're going to do and who they're going to, because they're not going downfield. The threat of running the ball, there's going to play some type of soft coverage behind it or zone pressure, and the ball has to get out fast. If not, it's a sack 100% of the time. And that's where the Giants offense has evolved to. It's become very predictable. It's become to the point where if they don't get the ball out really quick, it's going to be a sack.
Yeah. 22 on the season.
That has a lot. It's not just Daniel Jones' fault. It's not just the old lineman fault, and it's not just Kafka's fault. It's everybody's fault, including the defense. I'm throwing the defense in there too. Where's the turnovers at? Where's the short fields at? Right? Yeah. Like I want every single person on this team to take accountability for whatever is happening throughout this game. Right. Whether it's an offensive turnover, whether it's a sack, whether it's something that's on special team, it's a collective effort of failure right now.
Right.
I cannot place the blame on one person, because let's say you take out Evan and put somebody else in, that's not going to solve the problem. Nope. You take out Daniel Jones, put Tyrod Taylor in, that's not going to solve the problem.
It's
when
systemic.
comes back, unless they just figure out how to play better all around, that's not solving the problem either, fellas.
Yep.
They have to figure out how to play better and even coach better as well.
Yep, in all phases. Yeah.
And not only that, but with Andrew Thomas not being there right now either, his replacement sat in the locker room after the game on Monday night with his uniform on, staring with his head in his. It was either staring at his straight in his locker or had his head in his hands for about 30 minutes after the game.
Azudo?
Yeah, Azudo. I'm sorry, his name slipped me. I apologize.
No, you're good. Yeah. But I think he's playing okay.
Yeah, he is.
All right.
For the role that he's been thrust into and the issues we had with him in camp, he's actually holding up okay. McKeithen too. I mean, he's had a couple of rough games, but at the end of the day, he's a young guy. This is his first year in the league because last year was all ACL. So I mean, we have a couple of little pieces, but it's just not enough to get cohesion on that line, and it's just going to continue to be a problem. That's one of the things that they're going to have to solve for from an offensive play calling standpoint.
You know what I saw from the offensive line, and it happens every single game. It started in week 1 against Dallas. It's like once an old lineman gets beat, he just makes it in his mind that I'm not getting beat anymore, and he just locks on to the guy across from him. You can't do that,
right?
Because they were literally like, for example, right? Boxing. I'm setting up the jab all night. Once you start saying, "Oh, I'm gonna go ahead and parry that jab. I'm gonna parry that jab. I'm just gonna fake the jab and throw a hook over top," because we're setting you up, bro. Right, and they get predictable. I mean, they get locked in. All of a sudden, they can't pass off anything. And now Once a guy gets beat, he's like, oh, I'm not going to let this guy beat me no more. Okay, what about that other guy that's coming around?
Right.
Like
the stunt.
They get in there, and it's like, and then it just snowballs on them. That's what we saw last week, and we've seen it against Dallas. I think a little bit in San Fran, and definitely last week against Seattle, where when plays happen negatively, they just can't get out of that. They don't have no answer to it, and that's coaching.
Yeah, and I spoke to Dory Jackson right after the game on Monday night, and one of the things there's two questions I asked him. One, when does the feeling of desperation kick in? Because you don't want the season getting away. It should be now, but he really didn't know the answer to that question. He said he didn't want to use the word desperation because I don't think they want to show they don't want to show any panic whatsoever. But I think it's there. And the other question, and I asked him if this is sort of like, when things like this happen on the field, if it's sort of like quicksand. You're trying to get that step out, but you keep falling further and further in, and you just keep trying to pull yourself out, and you keep falling further in. And he says, yeah, it's sort of like that. But at the same time now, he says, everyone just has to play better. He said, everyone just has to, dig a little deeper, put a little bit more extra in. And that's what it comes down to. I got to make JC smile. I feel like he needs a smile right now. Come on, buddy, smile.
Let me see them pearly whites.
There it is. There it is, that pearly whites. We're used to doing this at night. We're not used to doing this in the afternoon. Yeah, right. It's Friday afternoon as we tape this. So you know what? I just want you guys to look at the screen because right now Ryan has a 1-0 lead. A 1-0 lead. And I'll give you guys the answer choices. Who was the leading receiver for the Giants in the Super Bowl against the first Super Bowl against the Patriots? Is it A, Amani Toomer, B, Plexico Burress, C, Steve Smith, or D, Kevin Boss? Let's go, JC.
C, Steve Smith. I said him last week. I'm just going to keep going Steve Smith.
Ryan.
So I have an undying love and respect for the well-dressed Amani Toomer. I'm going to go with him. We're both wrong, aren't we? Just by the look on your face.
I feel bad for saying this, JC. JC, I feel bad for saying this, but Ryan now is up 2-0 on you because he has guessed Amani Toomer, and he is 100% correct.
See, this is why I'm at a disadvantage because Ryan has been watching the Giants a lot longer than me. I was playing in the NFL when this stuff was happening. Okay,
that's right. See, now I'm just hearing excuses. Now I'm just hearing excuses. I was playing on the field. I didn't know that. I'm just kidding.
He was making money while I was struggling.
Yeah, I just want to let you know.
No. When you were flipping burgers,
I just got to tell you, man, that made my day. I'm not gonna lie. There's a lot of high pressure situation going on right there. But hearing Casey says, you know what? That's all right. You know that I was making good money while you were flipping burgers.
That's right. Made me feel better that I was eating all the burgers I was flipping, but never mind that now.
Yeah, keep in mind they didn't give Ryan a paycheck; they gave him a bill. Real quick, quick topic I wanted to throw out here, JC, just from a player perspective. Evan Neal, the situation that happened this past week with Evan Neal, making a comment about the fans and the media and so on and so forth. What do you make of it? Is it out of frustration? Does he probably really feel this? I guess when you're winning like you were last year, the negative sort of gets outweighed by the positive, but now it's a lot of negative. What do you, from a player perspective, how do you take this?
Well, that's a huge mistake. That's a big no-no. And saying and talking directly to the media, like talking smack about the media, talking shit about the referees, even your teammates or coaches, like all of those things, like, okay, cool, you're frustrated. That's like the only thing you can't do is talk crazy about the fans. Your fans, like the people that like drive for, like they planned this months ago. They got it in their schedule. They got a babysitter. They drove hours from Connecticut and Virginia, North Carolina. They're driving to come to this game. They're gonna miss work the next day. They paying for they do so many sacrifices to watch us play. And I say us because I was a player. I've been booed before, and I've been asked, does those boos bother you? No, they don't, because it's part of the game and we suck. So I expect a good fan to boo because that's what good fans do, right? Yeah. This is not college. This is not, alma mater. Yeah, we're cheering for them no matter what. No, all of those things that I just told you are real things. These are human beings. They sacrifice in a lot of the PCLs are expensive. You know, them sweet tickets are expensive. The turnpike is expensive. Right?
Yeah, right? Parking. You drop $150 before you even step in the stadium.
The GW Bridge is expensive too.
The sacrifices from fans, I don't think that was considered. Maybe this is something that you can put on the coaches, you know, saying like, hey guys, like, yeah, we want to play well for our fans, but not just because they're just showing up and they got free tickets. Like, these guys are paying thousands of dollars to come watch you play. You know, they're sacrificing being with their kids at times. Like I'm serious. Like, that's why the reaction was so abrupt and so like negative, because like, yo, we sacrificed to come watch you play, bro. And on top of that, you're not playing well. Right. And like, I can't talk too crazy about him. I've been warned several times by the Giants. I gotta watch what I say, so I'm trying to be very careful about what I say. But he hasn't played well. The offense hasn't played well. The Giants haven't looked good at all. They have been playing good football. Bro, they played, 4 games at 16 quarters. They played 2 quarters of good football.
Yep.
2. That's it. Like, you don't say anything about the fans. You appreciate the fans for putting up with that product that you're putting out there. You should be thanking them. I want to thank the fans for showing up and at least staying for some part of the game. Like, what do you think they're going to stay after what they put out there? Bro, like, okay, I'm going to go home and go get this babysitter. You know what I'm saying? Relieve this babysitter. But, you know, get away from this traffic that I'm going to get regardless. Like, it was so thoughtless. It was so immature. And yes, he had to apologize for it, because if not, I mean, bro, that would have been so bad. But like, this is the worst part about it for me. And I'm sorry, because I get emotional about this, because he just don't know, you know. But the worst part about, I think he meant it.
Oh yeah,
I think so too.
100%. Randy, this is the desperation. This is where we see the desperation that the team is feeling. We can see it in their actions. We can see it in how they, you know, what they say and who they say it to and how they say it. I am under no obligation to be nice to this guy because I don't work for the Giants, but I'm still going to say, you know, I mean, I can understand where he's coming from to a certain extent. This guy is a winner. He was highly touted coming out of high school. He went to Alabama, won national championships at Alabama. He's a high first-round pick. This is the first time in his life he's getting beat up on a football field, and he doesn't know what to do with it. He's a 23-year-old guy who got pissed, said something he shouldn't have to somebody that he shouldn't have. You want to talk about that with all your buddies in your living room? Cool. Say whatever the fuck you want to say. When you get onto a broadcast, that's when you have to button it up, because you are wearing the shield at that point. You are a part of the NFL. You are a part of the Giants, and you have a responsibility to that organization. So in a way, you know, I'm not surprised that we heard what we heard. I can understand where it came from, but bro, you got to shut the fuck up when it comes to the fans and what you feel of them, because inevitably what you feel of them is not the reality of their situation.
And I also want to throw one other thing about this. Let me ask JC this question. You're watching what you're seeing on the field. I have sat in the same seat for both this season and the 2017 season, which was considered one of the roughest seasons in the franchise history. You were on the field for that. I can honestly say that season had a lot of rough moments, but you guys played hard. Mm-hmm. And, you know, it just, whatever happened. This is a different level of bad. Like, and when you made a comment about the fans paying money to be at that stadium, I think back to the 51-point Rams game from 2017. on how by halftime the place was empty. The Maras cannot afford, with everything that's going on in New York right now, especially with the Jets, with Aaron Rodgers and all these different things, with the hype that was coming into this season, they cannot afford to go into a situation where things spiral out of control, where they have to make any major changes to the staff.
Yeah, right.
They cannot, because that's not the look that they want to go in a span of. We are going into 2024, and it's been a 7 years going on to a fifth head coach. You cannot afford to do that. So this needs to get fixed, and they have to be more competitive. I think fans would have been a little bit more okay with everything that was going on if they were competitive and losing. But right now, they're not even showing life.
They're not competitive.
They're not competitive at all. It's men playing with children, and that's what it looks like. And again, we talked about it before. When you start the season on a high note, again, didn't matter what the records were last year of the teams that you played. 3-1 was still 3-1 because you were playing the schedule in front of you.
Yeah.
You're 1-3 right now, and yes, you played three of the toughest teams and three of the good defenses in the NFL, but you look lifeless.
Yeah, and you've got two more of the tougher defenses, tougher teams in the NFL coming up.
Right. And speaking of that, the Miami Dolphins this week, I want to get the prediction from both of you guys before we wrap up. I'm hoping that Tua's not throwing no-look passes. I'm hoping that there's not 70 points on the board.
Yeah.
I can see JC's face. He doesn't want to make this prediction. I'm going to go first this week because I'm just in that realistic mode. I have my game face on because there's a lot of stuff going on today. I'm going to go 27-10 Miami. I think that offense is clicking. They got everything going the right way. The Giants have to show me that they can put points on the board. Until they do, I'm giving them 10 points. I'm not sure if Barkley's going to go this week. I'll let Ryan go next. Go for it, buddy.
Yep. 31-13 Miami. I think they eclipse 31 points. They've got two of the best receivers in the business, and we've got two rookies starting and a defense that can't get to them. I think maybe we'll get one touchdown and a couple of field goals out of the offense if we're lucky. So 31-13 is my prediction.
So I watched the game with Buffalo, Miami, and Buffalo beat the brakes off Miami. Like, it wasn't that close. Like, they were physically dominating them, and they made them look like a regular team. They looked so much different than that 70. I didn't even watch that game. I wasn't even trying to watch that game. I already seen enough highlights from that 70-point game. But that's the thing. If they can't slow Miami down, Miami's going to score 40 points. They're going to score 40 points. They have to create turnovers. They have to sack Tua. They have to pressure Tua. They have to hit these receivers at the line of scrimmage like you saw from Buffalo. If they cannot do that, they might score 50. But I'm going to have a little bit more confidence in this defense. I think this defense is going to take another step forward and create that first turnover of the season. They're going to slow them down a little bit, but I don't think they're going to be able to stop them from actually scoring their average. I don't know what that is, but it's probably in the 30s. So I think they're going to have about 34 points, and I think the Giants are going to try to figure something out on offense, and I'm hoping that they can score into the 20s. So I'm going to go 34-24, and I'm hoping it stays close like that. Yeah. Like I really do, because I don't want my team to get embarrassed.
Right.
I really don't. Like, seriously, like this is getting out of control so early in the season. Yeah. And a lot of teams don't recover from early losses. And now it's going into the second quarter of the season. You have two of the most talented teams coming up on the schedule, both away games. Miami's going to be hot. Buffalo's going to be Buffalo because they have great fans. It's not going to be hot, cold quite yet. But they have great fans. Miami's going to be hot, hydrate very well. It's going to be a track meet. And I think if the Giants can just hit these receivers at the line of scrimmage and tackle well, they can contain them at least a little bit. But I think Miami's just so offensively so strong. And if the Giants don't play complimentary football, they will get blown out by 30 if they don't play complimentary football. Because Miami is that talented, they're that fast and explosive on offense, and their defense is capable. They're not the best defense out there. They're not San Fran. They're not Dallas. But San Fran and Dallas don't have the offense that they have. San Fran offense might be better in terms of like overall rankings, but that's because they played against some solid defenses and they play complementary football, so they don't have to score a whole bunch of points, right? Miami, go ahead and miss a couple tackles against those guys. 80 touchdowns from everybody that touches the ball.
Their receivers are speedsters. They're speedsters.
Their running backs are speedsters.
And
Mostert. First of all, Mostert in San Fran was explosive. A-Chain's faster than him.
Yeah.
Like, bro, like it's I ain't gonna lie. That people are comparing it to that Rams, the fastest show on turf or whatever that was called.
Yeah. The greatest show on turf.
They're faster than them.
Yeah.
Way faster.
It's a scary thought. It's a scary thought. Just want a quick programming note. Again, we're recording on Friday. We're going to have this up later on tonight. So we really hope everybody enjoys the game this weekend. A little teaser. We might have some really, 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 really big news coming. Really big news.
Tease.
And then if we don't, Ryan's gonna be very, 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 very entertaining next week.
That's right.
So, guys, for Jonathan Casillas, Ryan Darlington, Randy Zellea for BackSportsPage, we'll see you next time here on the Big Blue Report. Again, sorry about the abbreviated episode. We'll be more in depth next week. I promise. This is all my fault. Blame me. It's okay. I love the hate. It's all good. We'll see you guys next week here on the Big Blue Report.